Hey, today in this video we're going to talk about home energy scores with John Schwanke, the Chief Home Inspector at Porchlight Inspections. As you may have heard, home energy scores are coming to Bend, and it's going to be a requirement when you list to sell your house, either with a realtor or without a realtor. So let's talk to John, and we're going to go ahead and get after that right now. If this is your first time to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. Tap that bell for notifications, and we'll make sure to keep you up to date on all the current happenings in and around Bend, Oregon. My name is Joshua Grossman. I'm the leader of the Grossman Home Team at eXp Realty. We get calls, text, email, and Zoom requests every day from people like you, and you looking to make their move to Bend, Oregon, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, go ahead and pick up that phone. Give us a call, shoot us a text message, send us an email, or sign up for a free Zoom consultation, and we'll make sure your move is as smooth as possible. So as I mentioned before, let's get into the interview with John from Porchlight Inspections about what a home energy score is and what you need to know about it. Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by today to talk with myself and John. Is it Schwanke, right?
John Schwanke, yes,
John
sir.
Schwanke from Porchlight Inspections.
Joshua.
Yeah, and as I mentioned in the forward, we're going to talk about home energy scores and what they mean for you buying a home in Deschutes County, actually rather in Bend proper, in the coming years. So without further ado, Joshua Grossman, Grossman Home Team, eXp Realty, John Schwanke from Porchlight Home Inspections, and we're going to talk about home energy scores. So John, quickly give the people a background on who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing this, and what makes you a home energy score expert.
Yeah. Well, this year or this month, Porchlight is celebrating 8 years in business. So I've been in the field of doing inspections for 8 years. Prior to that, I was a home performance with Energy Star contractor, where my focus was on energy efficiency remodeling, energy auditing, improving the performance of houses, the durability, the health and safety, really utilizing building science to analyze houses and help our clients move through the process of improving the efficiency of the house, but also capturing any utility incentives that were available, tax credits. And so I utilized that knowledge base when I came into the real estate field. And I always applied energy efficiency as a focus, as a specialty towards my inspection process. And I had been aware of the Home Energy Score program, which is a program set up by the U.S. Department of Energy to apply as a service to our clients in the field. And up until recently, we did a few of them, but we didn't get a whole lot of traction with it. And then the city of Bend passed a policy to require home energy scores on any houses marketed or listed for sale in the Bend, the jurisdiction of the city of Bend, the Bend city limits.
And I think that's an important point to
Yeah,
touch on. Sorry about that. But
yeah,
this is not a suggestion, folks, from the city of Bend. This is an actual requirement. There'll be code violations and, action if you don't do it. So you really need to understand what we're doing. And, there's going to be a little bit of extra expense in it. There's going to be time, and then there's going to be more stuff, more important than anything else, that we're disclosing to potential buyers about your house. Could be good, could be bad, could be indifferent, but really having a professional represent you in understanding that score is going to be absolutely important. Even if you want to sell your house and you don't want to use a realtor, I don't need a realtor, blah, blah, blah. I totally get it. You want to save the money, but this can be something just like not disclosing something properly on your house that you're going to need to learn about. So, that's why we're doing this video. We want to put the information out there because it's kind of this gray cloud of what is a home energy score and what do I need it for and this, that, and the other. So, so super important.
how's it going to influence home sales or the listing process too? Because the whole point of the program and why it was passed by the city of Bend is they have a climate action initiative where they want to influence or improve the efficiency of houses or the existing buildings and change the energy codes going in the future to reduce the overall carbon output or improve efficiency and conserve energy to help with their climate action plan. And so, but that's the purpose of the program. But from the field level, it's applied to real estate and the real estate process. And so the home energy score does not improve efficiency of the house. All it is it's information about the home and how the house uses energy. It's a consumption based score. And the score is a rating between 1 and 10. 10 being a higher efficiency, a lower consuming energy house. And on the lower end of the score would be just older homes typically end up on the lower end of the score, or larger homes, the houses that don't have good weatherization, or they're just a bigger footprint.
This brings up kind of an interesting question. Like, so say, John, like I'm curious in general. My house isn't that old. I just had it remodeled. I'd love to know what my energy score is. Like I've fixed drafts and upgraded furnaces and this, that, and the other. But like when you come and do this, do you have the ability or the knowledge to give people suggestions on, hey, this is what your score is and this is what that means, but this is how you can make it better? Like I get probably 1 to 3 calls a week. Hey, if I put solar on my house, will it make it worth more? Generally, the answer is no, it will not make it worth more. It might make it more attractive to a buyer because they maybe want a solar house. Same thing with a EV charger for an electric car, right? Not going to make it worth more, but may make it more attractive. So I say, hey, John, come give me an energy score on my house, and I get a 3. And I'm like, man, that sucks. I'm not looking to sell my house, but what's the difference between a 3 and a 10? Like, will you give us suggestions on how to fix it?
Well, part of the process is, as assessors, we come out and we collect over 70 pieces of information on the house. And we do a lot of measurements. So we're looking at the heating equipment, the water heating equipment, the insulation levels in the attic and the crawl space, looking at the wall depth to understand what the insulation may be in the walls. We're measuring window square footages, looking at site orientation. We're taking all this information, we're putting it into the home energy score modeling tool, which is a software set up it's engineered by the U.S. Department of Energy, and that is where the score is created. But not only is it provide a score, it gives an annual energy cost on the house. It's an estimate, but it's really, really accurate. And it's an estimate of BTUs of natural gas used and kilowatt hours of electricity. And it's all calibrated to the utility company's rates of that specific property. And then it provides recommendations. It's an auto-generated recommendation list on how to improve that score. So it's the score, what the house's conditions are today, and the potential score if the suggestions are followed, the energy strategies followed to improve that score. So yes, recommendations are there, and I feel, my personal opinion is there's no bad score. It's just information that helps direct people to understand where the house falls on a scale of all houses, because all houses end up on the scale, whether it's a 1920s house that's never been insulated versus a new construction. They're all compared on the same type of scale. But there's what I see is, if it's a low score, it just means that there's a bigger opportunity to improve the efficiency. And a lot of the improvements that are the recommendations of improvements that are made on that scorecard are intended to have a 10-year return on investment. So they're low-hanging fruit energy efficiency improvements that are generated by this software, this home energy score software.
That's awesome. So like, I kind of look at this as, and I know you do a lot of pre-listing inspections. And for those of you that aren't familiar, a lot of times when you put your house on the market, a very good tactic to use is to go in and have an inspection done to list out everything that could be wrong from the point of an inspector, not you. I mean, I always encourage people to walk around their house as a buyer and look at everything. I've done it with my own house, and it's pretty eye-opening. Like, if you take the emotion away of, hey, this is my beautiful home, and you think, hey, I want to sell this, what's the best way to get it done? Then a pre-inspection makes a whole lot of sense, because you can uncover a lot of things that, I mean, when's the last time you crawled under your house? John, probably yesterday for you, but for me, it's been a long time. In fact, I don't think I've ever crawled under my house, and most homeowners don't do that. And you just find stuff out. So I think this is actually, it's probably going to get spun in a bad light, but in my opinion, this actually is probably a fairly good thing, because now we can go in and say, hey, this, and this are wrong with my house. I'm going to fix these, and now I can be more competitive in this market. Because as everyone knows, houses aren't flying off the market right now. Like, you know, you don't have to give your children away and sign over the life insurance policy to be able to buy a house nowadays. Most likely, you're going to have to give some money to that buyer, you know, as closing costs or whatever. So this may be a way for you to preempt that. Like, hey, my house has a perfect inspection and I have an energy score of 9. You know, it's better than that new construction. It's better than this. I would even think people that will be outside the area that aren't mandated to do this might something they start doing, because houses are competitive in Bend, but they're also competitive with the outskirts of Bend, things that are in Deschutes County, Deschutes River Woods, Three River South. Those things are all usually right in the same market, unless somebody wants to live, you know, right on the river or, you know, at the pond in Northwest Crossing. There's lots of options in and around Bend. So I think this home energy score is actually probably a fairly good thing. And I don't know if you checked your Cascade natural gas bill, but they had a price increase. And so did Pacific Power.
25% in November, it went up.
Yeah. So like if your bills are higher, it's because it's actually costing more. So to be more energy conscious, it doesn't matter what you think about the environment, climate change, no climate change, it doesn't matter. How many dollars you're spending is going to be, you know, this could absolutely impact that. So John, like, kind of walk us through the steps, right? So, hey, you know, I call Josh, he's going to list my house. Josh calls John and say, hey, John, we need a home inspection. When do I have to have these done by? When does it start? You know, that kind of stuff. But then walk us through the progress.
Yeah. So the home energy score is required to take place prior to listing the house. So the information on the home energy score needs to be disclosed in the MLS listing or in the Zillow listings when the house is put on the market for sale. Excuse me.
Do you know if it's going to be part of our actual Oregon form disclosures? Like, there's a set of sheet that you fill out that has everything listed out on it that you know to be wrong with the house. Are they going to implement, or have you heard any talks about putting that on the actual disclosures?
Well, it's really going to be a matter of what the city of Bend code enforcement has access to. So the way that they're going to approach enforcing this is they're going to be looking at Zillow listings and Redfin listings, clicking on a GPS map to see, has the home energy score been applied or disclosed in that information. So if they don't have access to what you're asking about, I don't believe so. I don't believe you're required to be there. But it's really also really important to know that this is not an inspection. This is an assessment for energy efficiency. So as an inspection company, we make it very clear to our clients that if they're not hiring us to do a pre-listing inspection with a home energy score, that we're there just to assess the specific areas of the house that are necessary to generate the score. We're not testing the heating system. We're not crawling all the way to the back of the attic or all the way to the back of the crawl space like we would during an inspection. We're there to be for an hour to 2 hours at most to get the information we need in order to provide the score. But if there's something glaringly obvious that we want to let them know, like there's a leak under the house that we see when we're going looking at the crawl space, that's something we, in good conscience and within customer service, we're going to be able to provide to our clients. We're just not going to write a report about it or take any liability with it.
Right.
So that's really important for people to know. There's a big difference, even though there's going to be home energy assessment companies, and there's going to be inspection companies like mine who can provide more of a service with this and do our best work, especially if we're doing a home energy score and a pre-listing inspection. That's how we can do our best work.
Something that I always lean very heavily towards is local, right? Yeah. And John, you're you're not a native Bendite. Neither have I, but I've been here for 23 years. But being here for 8 years, being in the business, seeing how we've grown in the last 8 years, it definitely gives you, in my opinion, a leg up, especially because you're incorporating this into your business. So while it's not an inspection, it's an assessment. There are probably aspects of the assessment that go hand in hand with that inspection period, like making your house worth more to sell it for a top dollar. All of those things could be something that comes into play. So once I give you a call, say, hey, my clients at 123 Banana Street want to sell their house. We got to get a home inspection. But before I ask that, though, what if I list the house now and it doesn't sell before? You said June, right?
July 1st is the date where the program requirement takes effect.
All right. So we're January, February, March right now. April, May, June, July. That's only 4 months away. That's actually not unheard of for a house not to sell in that time period, because average days on market are that thing. So what if I have a house listed and the date passes and it's still not sold? Am I now required to have a home energy assessment done?
Yes, you would be. Your house, if it has not met the requirement, it would need to come into compliance by having a home energy score. So what we're anticipating is the most chaotic time period here for this whole thing is going to be the first 2 months, because there's going to be, everybody procrastinates, and I'm trying to influence early adoption here. If we can do these scores, and you put a house on the market in May, and you think it may carry over into July, let's get it done in May, because these scores are good for 8 years. 8 years, they will pass between ownership. No matter how many times that house passes, the title changes within 8 years, it passes over. So if we can get it done now, it's still good. But it's going to be a bottleneck if everybody's like, well, we'll just wait till July 1st to do this. Because not only is that it all going to come down all at once, but we're still trying to get this figured out in our program of running a business. It's a whole nother.
It's a whole nother business.
Right now, fortunately, we're way far ahead of all the other people that are just trying to get certified here. So early adoption is really important to make this marketplace stable, to provide home energy scores, and to keep realtors from having a heart attack, and because they can't list their house for 3 weeks because everybody's so backed up. So
it's not like we haven't seen emergencies in the real estate market in Bend, Oregon. Basically, since about 2006 on, there's been an emergency every 2 to 3 years, and so now it's the same thing. Like, you can't get bottlenecked. There's not enough houses available. Spring's coming. You're probably thinking about selling your house in spring because everybody tells you that's the best time. That's true. It is the best time. But we should make some preparations to get that done. This is all very good information. I absolutely love that you're doing it. I love that you're local and you've took the time to, I met John actually through a title class. I was invited to learn about it. I knew I needed to learn about it because I got to stay up on the thing. I listened. I was like, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. Let's interview him and get him out to the masses, because the consumer, you guys watching this video right now, really need to know that this is one of the options for you buyers out there, coming from areas, California, Washington, stuff like that, that energy efficiency is maybe a little bit more on the radar. This is great for you, because now you can look at houses and gauge, hey, is that important to me? Does my house, is new construction a better option? Because I know a lot of new construction, Polish has adopted, new building standards to come around this thing. Like, I just sold a townhome and it was already adopted into this energy efficiency state. So, just costing less to run your house over time really is what I think the takeaway from this. Giving an assessment tells you what your score is, and then you have opportunities. This may be something just good to have done in general, especially if it follows it for 8 years. If you're going to sell your house in 8 years, you got to have it done anyways. Might as well just have it done now. And now you have some time to walk through it and say, all right, I need new windows and some new insulation, and I need an air scrubber in my furnace, or whatever it happens to be. So I think this is a good thing for sure.
And all of those things that you mentioned that are improvements on the house, they all cost money. And so when you're putting insulation on your house, or putting a new higher efficiency heat pump or furnace in your house, it could be $20,000 in an investment or more. And the home energy score, the intent on top of everything is that equity is going to be accounted for through an appraisal, and that's an important piece, because appraisals and evaluations are done by square footage, location, and finishes. But now there's this performance piece, this fourth piece that's been fairly just overlooked up until, well, I mean, still overlooked. But as we get more home energy scores, the appraisers are going to look at these evaluations, and that's going to influence home value in to some regard, I think.
No, I
Maybe not
absolutely think it will.
drastically.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I mean, like anything that an appraiser can get to give their, I mean, an appraisal for you guys that may not know is not a comparative market analysis like I do. They don't just look at comps. They take square footage and they measure rooms and they take all of these things into thing, and that's what the banks require to get from a non-partial, impartial, third-party thing that you don't even get to pick your appraiser. Like it just goes into a bucket, someone pulls it out, and they do the appraisal. So if a home energy score, which it sounds like it's probably going to, becomes a part of that appraisal, that's just one more piece that your house is going to have to say, hey, this is why I'm asking this much for the house. So, as a realtor, I have to be very cognizant of that because that's how I'm going to price your house. Like we're not going to price your house until we get the home energy score. And if it comes in at a 1, we're going to talk about that. Like, hey, either we spend 30 grand to fix these things up to make it not a 1, or we're going to have to price it effectively because it's going to get dinged for that on the actual sales price. So here's another question. What about a reinspection? All right, so you come out, you do your thing, it spits out the list and says, I need these 7 things. I'm like, gosh, I'm just going to hold off on selling my house and I'm going to fix these 7 things because they're important, right? I don't want to strap a new buyer with an old furnace or whatever it happens to be. Do you do reinspections as part of the deal, or is that an extra cost?
Well, if it's a new home energy score, we can update the home energy score. We would just need to come back and look at the few items that were done on the improvement list, and then we will rescore it. And we would do it for a reduced rate, probably half the cost of what the original investment rate was, because most of the expense is in the time and doing measurements. And if all those things have already been done on the first time around, all we're doing is offering a follow-up service and doing a couple new inputs to then regenerate the score.
Awesome.
And that's really the only thing that would trigger the need for a new score is by doing the improvements that are on that recommendation of the energy scorecard.
So let's get under brass tacks, John. What's this cost to have it done? My house is 2,000 square feet in Northeast Bend. It's 2013 built. What's it going to cost for me to get a home energy score?
Yeah, our rate for a score is $250 for a house up to 2,000 square feet. If it's 2,500, it goes every 500 square feet, it goes up an additional $25. So if a house is 5,000 square feet, it's around $450.
All right. And so are you competitive in pricing with everybody else? Is there a mandated pricing? Is the state kind of, or been taking lead on that, or is it free capitalism just like everything else?
It's a free market, but I'd worked with the city of Bend prior to them finalizing that part of the policy, because I'm like, I really wanted to make sure they had an understanding of what it really costs in the marketplace for businesses to provide this service. And so, they have a threshold as to how high the market can go for costs, because they don't want it to be a cost burden to the community. But I don't think that's going to be the issue where the prices are just going to go high. I think prices will end up happening is it'll be a race to the bottom. And hopefully that doesn't happen, because there's value in accuracy and value in customer service. But I do think that my rates are very competitive, and they might even be on the higher side. But we're overqualified as an inspection company for this service, I believe. And so we're just going to try and maintain a higher standard of quality.
Well, I personally like hiring people that know exactly what they're doing, and not somebody that fly by night and just said, hey, I'm going to become a home energy assessor and take a class and do it. Like, you have to have knowledge of construction and builds and this, that, and the other to give a proper inspection of anything. It doesn't matter what you're looking at. So in my opinion,
value into the service, because even though it's required, there's value in knowledge and helping people have fluency with what efficiency is or what these things mean, and not just leave them hanging with an arbitrary number.
Absolutely.
We see the valid importance of helping real estate agents and home sellers escort them through what this means, and is it a big deal or not, and is there any investment necessary to improve the score to improve the sale price of the house.
I think that's good. So in a summary, July 1st, home energy assessments become mandated by the city of Bend for any houses going on the market or they're already on the market, for sale. Home energy assessment is a process that you hire a licensed and approved inspector to come in and do that process for you. The cost is going to be, $250, $350, somewhere in that range, depending on how big your house is. Once again, you have to have these done. This isn't an option. Even if you're selling your house yourself, this is something you need to be done.
Sell by owner. Yes.
Yep, we're more than happy to help you walk through the process. Even if you choose to sell your house by yourself, this is just a service I offer to the community. Like, let me help you sell your house. I might have a buyer for your house, even though you want to sell it yourself. It's not unheard of. Give us a call. Give John a call. John, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
Thank you for asking. So I want to shout out our website. We have a specific website for the home energy score. It's www.bendhes for home energy score, bendhes.com. Or they can reach out to me directly, john@myporchlighthome.com. And you can find us, just Google us. It's pretty easy to find Porch Light in Bend, Oregon. But yep, that's how you reach us.
We're also going to put that description below, so it'll have a write-up of how to click on John, a link to his website. So all of that information will be there and readily accessible. As always, you guys know how to reach me, Joshua Grossman with eXp Realty. All my information is below. Sign up for a Zoom consultation. We'll be more than happy to walk with you about any step of selling your house or buying a new house. If you want to know how this impacts you as a buyer, I think that's an important question to ask. Do we care about energy efficiency? Well, do you care about how much money you spend on electricity and gas and stuff every month? Because I certainly do. So we'll be fully up to speed on all that stuff and be able to walk you through every start of the process if you're selling or if you're buying and wanting to call Bend your home. So John, I absolutely appreciate you coming on the show today and giving us your knowledge from a person that's actually out doing it. Guys, if you have questions about home energy scores or how it's going to impact you, please feel free to reach out and we will do our absolute best to answer you. As always, thank you very much for joining us on the channel today, and we'll see you around town.